Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, that's Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
I guess the subject today is the plague. Considering, like Lois said earlier on the backstage, there's like 100 or 1,000 of them. I don't know which one we should talk about.
Just talk about the first one that comes to mind.
Well, let's talk about the Black Plague then. Does anybody know anything about the Black Plague?
I didn't even know off. I only thought there was one, to be fair.
Believe it or not, when you go into the search engine, you'll find loads of them.
Really?
I know that the Black Death was obviously. Is that the one in the UK? Because again, there's hundreds, there's loads.
Thank you,
He
Sarah.
was 65, Sarah. Got his bus pass. He don't need to. See, it's hard to know where to begin because there's so much to the plague.
Cliff.
I mean, you've got the Highcliffe, you've got the Great Plague of 1665
in London.
and it was just there's so many.
Well, I do know one thing about the Black Plague. The Black Plague still exists in foreign countries like Africa, I think.
Yep.
So I do know that. And I know they're still dealing with it. You'd think they'd come up with a cure for that by now, but
I guess, I mean, I can't imagine back then. Hi, Siobhan. I can't imagine then back then it would have been a total, there wouldn't have been medicine. But as you say, in the 20th century, there would have been a lot more. I mean, the plague returned to England in 1665. This was known as the Great Plague. It had a huge impact. There was like 100,000. Hiya, Kelly. 100,000 people in London that were killed. The cause of the spread was poor sanitising, like washing your hands, touching things, if
Hi, William.
kind of what we hi William. Kind of what we went through in 2020. But it was 1665 back then. So it was that kind of way the poor. But you think back in that day, most people were homeless. You had your rich, you had your poor. If the poor was getting it, they were mostly them were
going to go, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and
isn't that where the story of the Pied Piper came about, where he tried to get all the rats out of town because of the plague? Okay, that's what
it's that nursery rhyme.
And the worst it was, sewage and waste was in the streets, so there was no avoiding it.
Sarah said it come from ticks from the rats as well.
Yeah, fleas, rats, or the fleas on the rats.
And then you had you had the wealthy people that were deserting London at that time as well because they didn't want to get the plague, including Charles II. The risk of spreading the disease across the country, even the Mayor of London stayed in the city. He helped to sort of the plague of all things. Funny enough, William, you were talking back
Chantel.
stage about this. Hi, Chantel.
Thank you.
but if you think about it, obviously what we've been through, well, basically Sarah Louise is, obviously I can't say that word because we're in jeopardy
Yeah.
a strike, so I can't obviously think me. But the hey Roger, I mean the government action. I mean apparently there was more organised and coordinated response to the plague outbreak in 1665, in 1666 than there had been in 1348 and 1349 when the
Mm.
Black Plague had happened back then. As it had spread through Europe, the government introduced a quarantine for all ships coming into London. If a household contained someone infected with the plague, the people were locked inside and a red cross was painted on the door to symbolise, obviously, that person has the plague.
Yeah.
Searchers were employed.
Yep. Well, we're talking about
So-
the plague.
We're talking about the plague.
If a house, searchers were employed to walk the streets, enter plague houses and identifies the cause of death. That's me done. That
Yep.
doesn't surprise me, William. There was actually a belief at one stage, hey Tom, there was actually a belief at one stage that the plague was actually caused by cats and dogs,
Mhm.
stray cats and dogs, and that were spreading the plague. So the Mayor of London actually ordered for them all to be killed. This may have actually made the outbreak actually a lot worse, as the cats would have caught some of the rats. So that was a wee bit of a disadvantage. And it was believed that meant people were ordered to light fires in the streets to create smoke because they thought this was a way of masking the bad area of the bad air, believed to be caused by the plague. Be
Yeah,
smart
I heard
after.
about that. I heard about them trying to get rid of the cats because they thought it was, and that made it worse because the cats would catch the rats, and then you get rid of the rats. Well, then there's an overpopulation of rats.
Definitely. I wouldn't have like I suppose back then, they had to do what was necessary to
Yeah.
try and contain it.
Yeah.
And always think, how did we get through the situation we were in? Like, because back then we would have never got through that situation.
No.
Never. I mean, the germs have still not been discovered, and this was the biggest problem in taking effect of the plague because nobody knew how to cure it, where it came from, what started it, and things like that. So it would have been just the same again. And back then, you didn't have the medical science that we have now. Maybe if they had the medical science way back then, maybe things would have been different and maybe
look at
lives
the
would
way-
have been slightly saved.
Yeah. Well, look at the way they tried to treat it with leeches. They tried to treat it with burning the boils.
I mean-
obviously the symptoms of the plague would be boils, lesions, black skin with the black plague. Hey,
Hiya,
Nicola.
Nicola.
Oh, Nicola.
Well, folks,
Yep.
I didn't even know that.
Well, I didn't even know it either, to be fair.
I mean, plague doctors wore outfits to protect them from coming into contact with victims.
Yeah, they used to.
They wore the leather cloaks, the mask
Natty.
containing
That's
hair.
it.
Hey,
Natty.
Natty. To avoid them smelling the streets, they also wore gloves and hats so none of their skin was exposed to the air. but it's just, again, there's been so many plagues that it's hard to,
Content it.
I know. I should wonder the subject of plaguing.
Cool.
Oh wow, it's an interesting subject. It really is.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, here, I'll read this one. Kind of image of a plague doctor with the beak. Yep.
Yeah, one with the beak.
It's like
Yeah.
something in the tip of it.
That's
I
it.
found the picture I was going to show you.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
right there. Perfect one. And they put like some kind of incense or something in the tip of it too to help, so they wouldn't breathe it in because they figured it was an airborne disease. So
That's why they
Mhm.
had the mask and the beak and the leather jacket and the gloves and the boots as well.
Could you imagine, like, seeing somebody dressed like that getting into your neighbours? You'd be thinking, "Holy God, what
it's
the
definitely
hell?"
scary.
You still see it in
Right.
Scotland. That's,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dressed up
Oh, only in
Mm.
Essex that happens, son.
like
Cheeky
Well-
monkey.
and I've seen pictures of them too, old fashioned pictures of them.
Mhm.
It's just really weird.
Yeah, but it's mad. I mean, how they treat the Black Plague today, as Eric was saying, is by antibiotics.
Mhm.
In the case hospitalised, and it's mad to think it still happens today.
yeah.
Well, where and I can't remember the name of it. It just hit my head and then disappeared.
Sorry, doll.
Yeah, I forget what it's called now. Oh, dang it. I'll think of it while I'm doing that.
This
Yep.
doll is this.
Demonic plague.
Definitely, Griff.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
why I
they have
love.
they have a lot more treatments for it now. And back then they didn't even have any kind of antibiotics at all. The first antibiotic came from mold.
I don't even know. I think they used to put lavender.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that could be. I didn't know what it was
Yeah.
exactly. But I knew they put something in the tip of it. Yeah,
Eric,
I did, Matty.
do you
I'm
know
growing
when
up.
when you say that, Sarah Louise? I think is it The Life of Brian, or is it
The Life of
oh,
Brian.
No, it
The
was
Holy Grail,
yeah, Monty
where the
Python and
Holy
the
Grail
Holy
takes the body?
Clean out, you're dead. I'm not dead. Yes, he is. Well, barely.
You wouldn't escape unless you stay done, but have read the book from the plague department today. Was affecting the home. Yeah,
Yep. Which you said earlier, Lois. And I'm
yeah.
I really want to know if those houses are still there lining up the road to Edinburgh Castle, because that's where I heard the story. Now, granted that the story that I heard is from Sherlock Holmes, and yes, I know Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character, but still, that's just fascinating.
As most of his books are fascinating.
Yeah. Well, because there's the haunted bagpipes is that whole thing with the plague and
I mean, here's a random fact for you, right? There was a
Okay.
German physician. I
Mhm.
can't pronounce his name, right? Because it becomes German. And I'll slaughter it to hell. Suggested that a mistranslation of the Latin Atomos, which means terrible or black death, had occurred in Scandinavia. when he described the Black Death in the 14th century. Black Death became more widely used in the German and the English-speaking worlds. In parkers like that, the lights are on, but no one's home.
Over my head.
Yes,
You will
well,
have to read Charles
is there-
Dickens.
oh, shoot. Sorry about that.
Oh, there you picked her out.
Hi.
Hey, Mama Bob.
You're only
Hello.
15 minutes late.
I know I've been having dinner with the company.
still 15
Oh,
minutes late.
anything nice?
I went to the tap room in Newmarket.
Oh, wow.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it's all horsey related, and we watched the race horses come out as we was eating our dinner.
That sounds all good. All good.
I did do some homework, and it's like, you carry on with what you was talking. I'm finding my homework that I did this morning.
No problem. So, as I was saying, yeah, so now I can't remember because Mama Viv's put me off my stride. Where's my brain going at? Yes.
I'm not saying nothing.
Shut your face, biatch. Obviously, you've got the septicemic plague, which is a form of a deadly blood poisoning. That's another plague. The disease is contracted primarily through the bite of an infected insect, believe it or not. It can cause, obviously, damage to like your heart, and is almost always fatal. The mortality rate in the medieval times was 99 to 100%. It's a rare. Though to be fair, this is the rarest of the three plague variants. This was the most rarest one out of the three. So I'll let Mama Viv. I'll stop talking.
Did you know that that septic plague that you're talking about?
Mhm.
It can also lead to the most serious plagues. That if you get it and you're not picking up the symptoms quick enough, you'll be dead within 24 hours. When I did my research this morning with the different types of plague, and it was quite interesting because I get into work an hour early before anybody else. So I did some research on the plagues that there are today, and all three plagues, the bubonic, septemic, I can't pronounce it, and pneumonic plague, yeah, they all still exist today. These are plagues that have not gone away, and I found through my research that if you're living, hi Rita, if you're living in rural areas, so there's no city, you're in a very rural area, you are more likely to get a plague, symptoms of one of these plagues, because a lot of it comes from animals. In the last 20 years, reported in small agricultural villages rather than crowded cities. And I think there were places that I saw in the good old US of A that still has outbreaks of plague.
Yep.
I don't know if Eric would know more about that. Madagascar also has a high plague infection rate, but if it is caught early, it is treated. Guess how it's treated?
Go on.
Antibiotics. Seriously, there's some really strong antibiotics. Yeah, and even after plague symptoms have gone away and you're on these antibiotics, you are kept on those antibiotics for weeks, and until you're deemed good again. But it can lead to death if left untreated. And if you do get one of these plagues, 90%, you've got 95% chance of survival if you're treated by antibiotics. So if you're in one of these poorer countries where you're not getting antibiotics, it's quite bad. The symptoms, I don't know if you went through the symptoms, but for bubonic plague, The symptoms are, now this is what made me laugh. Tell me what you think about this, Lois. The men won't appreciate this.
Yeah.
So for bubonic plague, fever, chills, headache, muscle pain, general weakness, swollen lymph glands called buboes that come in the groin, armpits, neck, or the site of a scratch or bite. The buboes give the name bubonic plague its name. For septemic plague, abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, fever, chills, extreme weakness, bleeding, not able to clot at all on its own, shock, skin turning black and gangrenous.
So,
For pneumonic plague, trouble breathing, chest pain, cough, fever, headache, all over weakness, body I can't pronounce that word. Sputum or saliva, mucus or pus from the lungs.
I would say that's like an everyday man flu for the men.
Well, I was thinking the first one. I was thinking that sounds like menopause to me. So once the bubonic plague enters the bloodstream, this causes sepsemic, or if it hits the lungs, pneumonic. Death can occur in 24 hours if it appears after appearance of the first symptoms. Saves yourself, right?
Oh,
So risk
hey,
factors.
Kelly.
So risk factors, you're more than likely you could, not saying you're going to, you could catch it if you come to direct contact with someone with the plague, homes with high exposure to rodents, lice and fleas, and living in rural location was extremely agricultural. So yeah.
Hey, Eileen.
I looked at these and I thought, wow. So if you got this in medieval times, chances are you were not going to survive it.
No.
And I did a bit of research into the plague of London, which is quite interesting because it started in St Giles in the Fields by one man who got it, who was come over from Italian, and it then spread to 3 people, and it then grew and grew and grew until it got to biblical proportions with so many people dying. And what they did was they tried to evacuate London, and every time somebody died, they rang a toll bell at the church to warn the local villagers, the plague is here, we've got another death. And so people would be sitting at their homes in London back then, hearing the bells ringing and hearing the bells getting closer and closer and closer to them, knowing that the plague was coming and there was nothing that they could do.
Can you guys hear that interfering?
Who's
who's
opening something? It's not me.
Not me.
No, at first I thought it was Jamie making farting noises with his mouth, and then I was like that.
So the plague for me is quite an interesting part of British history. I did watch all the programs and followed what went on in England. I'd been in a plague pit. They cleared out this plague pit, and I'd been in a plague pit and seen some of that. We have plague pits up here in Cambridgeshire where you walk along the streets of Cambridge and around the universities. People don't realise they're walking over the top of plague pits and the bodies are still in there. They've not dug them up.
Yeah.
Because it was a way of getting rid of, even in death, they're still highly infectious. And at the time, they didn't know what was causing it. Now, they did some research recently in Paris, in France, and I forget the name of the university, where they tried to work out how the plague was spread and how it was spread so quickly. Now, we were all taught, growing up at schools, it came off the fleas on rats. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. We were told a lie. It was a theory. And apparently these French scientists have found But the plague was actually, it came across and it was spread through body lice, because the body lice lives on clothing and just feeds off the host. Okay. And they took these body lice and they infected some of this body lice with bubonic plague, and they tested it on rabbits, and they put some of these lice on one rabbit, and the rabbit got all the symptoms of plague. And then they put that infected rabbit, they thought they'd cleared all the lice, you know, as much as they could, but that infected rabbit went in with other rabbits and they all died within 24 hours of plague.
Wow.
But they are rewriting history. And I don't know how you would, things like lice. You know what, if you worked in an agricultural place that was full of lice, and fleas will still jump, you know, but fleas have a smaller life cycle. It's the body lice that did all the damage. So it's understandable back in medieval times, people not washing and sharing clothes or picking up clothes off the street, because you're not going to want to spend your money on clothes when you're poor, are you?
No.
No.
That's the last thing you're going to think about. You're going to want to feed yourself more than anything. So body lice, and you know what, believe it or not, people think that body lice can't jump. They do.
They can.
They jump, and boy, can they jump. Not as far as a flea, but they can jump. And even if you just brush up against someone who has body lice, or, you know, because it's living in their clothes, direct contact with your jacket or your cardigan, and you've got it as well. And you could be the cleanest person alive, still get body lice.
Do you know, when we're talking about this, I'm cringing. There is something that I've found.
On your face.
I will slap the shit out of you, boy. You die of laughter. There is research that I did find. I'm going to be actually there was research that I did find, guys, that I found interesting. And
No.
I will
Sorry, Laura's asking, is body lice the same as hair lice? I don't think they are.
No, I don't think they are.
No.
They're completely different beasts, they are.
Oh, it's making me itch now.
That's your crap that's making it, son.
Body lice like the Scottish fleas long time ago. Basically the same.
But I did find something really interesting. It's how to word it, because I know YouTubers and Facebook are very thingy, but I'm just reading as I see it. Obviously, strong viewers' discretion advised. But apparently the burning of Jews in the 14th century during the Black Plague, Jews were perceived as being less susceptible to the plague than their neighbours, because of a Jewish ritual regarding personal hygiene, and they were accused of poisoning Christian wells, thought to be the source of the plague. So a lot of them were getting burned, and that's horrible. It's mental. Found that quite mental when I read that, because it was kind of, am I reading this right?
It's horrible.
I found out that plague bodies were the first chemical warfare ever used in history of battle, because apparently somebody used them and flung them over the castle walls.
John.
Oh, John.
Other people.
John's
Hello,
made an
Robert.
appearance.
Rob.
Hey, Robert.
Hi, Rab. John, have you
John.
got lice?
No, I'm not.
Better not.
Please.
Have you got
Oh.
fleas?
Oh.
No. John, put your... I know.
I know.
It's only because I put the heater on, he's come up here.
Yeah.
John, get your bum out my face. For God's sake.
I know, right?
I was going to say, where's they been hiding? Usually John used to be on every Tuesday. Now John's slipped away.
He normally sits downstairs with Andy, but for some reason he's up here with me. He doesn't normally. He
Oh.
likes to sit downstairs now, but I don't know. But yeah, no, the plague I thought was really, really interesting because which
None
one
of
has
them have
wings?
wings.
The flea. I think the flea has wings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep. Hope I'm not getting an obs.
I don't know. Why not? You
Do
tell
you
me.
I found the best way to kill a flea. I had a dog years and years ago, and I would deflea it, take it out for a walk, bring it back straight in with fleas again.
Mm.
And before I could get an appointment at the vet to get the the really strong drops and everything, I was sitting there and there'd be fleas like coming off this dog, jumping everywhere, like carpets, you name it. And I found the best way to kill a flea. You could buy all these sprays and spray the carpets. Nah, they're still jumping off the dog. I got a glass of water.
Yep.
And I caught a flea in my finger and I put it in the water and I watched this thing drown. And that became an obsession with me. And when we finally got the dog to the vet and defleed the dog and fumigated the house, it wasn't just the house, the carpets, everything had to be done.
Yep.
Us, the clothing, everything had to be washed, bedding, everything. It was horrendous. But after I sat and sitting there, thinking, oh, there's no more fleas, I got quite disappointed and depressed that I couldn't kill a flea. It's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you've got it in the glass itself and you actually look at the flea, it magnifies it. And a flea's quite an amazing creature to look at, because if you look at the legs, when you think about how far that flea can actually jump on the strength of those legs alone. The legs are little gangly, spindly things compared to the body, especially if it's fed.
Yeah.
So how that flea is jumping that far is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's another force of nature that no one really wants to talk about because it's a flea, bottom of the food chain.
Apparently, really pulls a one.
Yep. That's what I was going to say earlier. But yes. she's
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah, but it's the flea. I think fleas are amazing. They're not great, to have fleas like living off you and all that sort of thing. But that was an interesting time, and I did learn a bit about the flea because of that, and seeing it myself and talking to the vet, and as you do. But the body lice thing I thought was quite interesting, and tying it up to what happened in England with the plague. I mean, that pandemic was horrendous. We've just been through COVID, another pandemic. But to physically
I was trying
see
to avoid saying
people,
that word.
Yeah,
but to physically see people with their lymph nodes out like this and turning
Yeah.
black and parts of their nose going and not,
Yep.
just sitting there knowing that they're going to be dead soon.
Mhm.
I'm thankful for small mercies that COVID-19 didn't put us through that. Yes, people lost their lives, but can you imagine going out and actually physically seeing people on the streets dying like that?
Yeah.
That is, to me, that must have been so horrendous.
So would you consider then what you said, right? Because I don't want to say
The pandemic, yeah, the pandemic.
Aye, that gets the strike. But would you consider that as a type of plague as well?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah,
It was kind of in the air
sort
as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a viral thing that people were catching. It was killing them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
But if you think sorry,
go on, you carry on.
if you think back then they didn't have the medical science to what they have now, do you think
No.
back then if they had the medical science, more people would have been saved?
Oh
No.
yeah.
No.
I don't
No,
think
that's
so.
true.
I don't think so because of the speed of plague,
yeah. True.
because of the speed it takes hold of you and kills you.
Mhm.
It is the actual disease itself. What was that disease called? Oh, I did write it down because it's got a funny name. And you will
Plague?
like this. No. It's called pestis. pestis something. I did write it.
Pesticides.
Yes, it's called Yersinia pestis bacteria.
Mhm.
Yersinia
What's
pestis
the cure for
bacteria.
that?
Antibiotics. No, but because of the
I
speed
know
it
what the
takes
cure for
over
that
the
is.
body within catching it, if you don't know that you've got it,
Mm.
when you get your first symptoms, within 24 hours, you're dead. At least with COVID-19, there was a chance if you got the right medical care at the time. Don't forget, in COVID-19, a lot of people were being put on ventilators, and it was the ventilator that killed them, not the disease itself.
Yeah.
Then you had blood clots. People were being given vaccines, and then blood clots were happening. And it was the vaccine that was killing them, not the actual thing. So there is a difference between the two. But the Yersinia pestis bacteria, it is a bacteria. And I think once that enters, unless you're acting on it quick, you no
And the
chance.
problem with bacteria and plague or whatever else you consider, it's progression. You got the initial one, then it mutates, and it mutates again, mutates again, mutates again. So, you know.
But we have like the flu.
Mhm.
The flu's been around, like COVID's been around for years. It's not something new, but the flu keeps changing.
Yep.
Genetics keep changing. Like every year we have the flu jab, and it's the flu jab cocktail's different every time I get it.
Yep. It's a different strain.
Yeah. So I think even back there in the Middle Ages, because of the way it spread so quickly, because you think about it though, even if they had the medical science so low, people back then were dirty, not because, well, they didn't have deodorant like we have today. They wouldn't wash, but wash once a year, maybe on your birthday. Maybe. I don't know.
I've had my yearly wash.
There was nowhere to throw out your, when you'd go in a bucket, where would they didn't have toilets back then. It was out in the street, wasn't it? And yeah, flu.
It's a horrible feeling.
It's horrible, flu is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's I enjoyed looking at some of the traditions in the different countries about plague and plague victims, how they were treated, what happened to the cities and the towns and things like that. I mean, I concentrated more on England and went into Europe and looked at what's going on in Europe. There were certain superstitions about plague and things like that as well that went alongside it. But have we learned anything from the plague pandemic? I don't think we have, because it happens straight away again with COVID. And I mean, we here in England, we have this big COVID inquiry that's going on. I mean, there were set guidelines and rules that were laid out by previous governments that would have worked, but our government at the time when this pandemic hit, that the guidelines and rules went out of the window, and we suffered as a people because of it. So now there's this big investigation going on. Why didn't they stick to what was already planned out? And does the World Health Organization know more than they let on? Because when you think about it, well, there are other pandemics that are still going on around the world.
Exactly. I want to clarity.
That other one, what's it called? Ebola. That's gone very quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't hear anyone talk about that anymore. I mentioned Scrapie to someone. I said, you know about Scrapie? No, what's that? I said, you've heard of mad cow's disease? Oh yeah, we know about that. That was terrible.
Put a mouth. I said, still hear about that.
Yeah, I said, Scrapie. Do you know what Scrapie is? No idea. I said, do you eat lamb? Do you eat mutton? They went, yeah. And you don't know what Scrapie is? No. So you need to go and look this up because it's quite important. Scrapie is the sheep version of mad cow's disease.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never even heard of that until you've mentioned it.
Yeah, and so just like, what? Like these people that I knew about Scrapie a long time ago because somebody I knew got the human version of mad cow's disease by eating infected beef. Yeah.
COVID should have not been like.
Yep.
Yeah, really. Aye, well, aye, that's true. That's true.
So what did you find out, Parker, about plague?
He didn't do his homework. I'll graft him in,
my
Beth.
homework.
Did jack shit.
That's about
Such a
right.
dobber. Huh?
That's about right. John's going to kill you when he sees you.
Yeah, he would beat me up.
John's going to beat him up. He's going to do Spider-Man all over you. Spoof.
See, to be fair, see when Eric told me earlier on it was a plague, I was kind of like, what plague? There was that many. Hi, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Andy, don't be disgusting. Do it to Jamie. Look, come
What
here.
did you
Go
do,
on,
Rosie? Okay.
He thinks it's Spider-Man. Jamie's just lost it.
I know.
Jamie's gone.
Not been able to. That's terrible, Cheryl. We're sorry to hear that, pal.
He lost quicker.
It's the Spanish
Yeah.
flu, not summer to COVID. What
Jamie's
the hell are you doing?
He's having a laughing attack.
Jamie, you've got a lot to answer for, I'll tell you.
Oh, dear.
Don't make out you're sweet and innocent, because I know you're not.
I am.
You're not.
You're not.
Gotta be nice anyway. It's still my birthday week.
Birthday week? What are you? Like royalty or something?
Heck yeah.
Could be. Never know.
Cheeky.
Just having a
Yeah,
party
because-
for himself.
You know why, Lorna? Because his parties are shit. No one wants to go.
No.
They weren't last year, were they? So
Oh, but who arranged them? Who arranged it last year?
Daniel.
No, it was Daniel and me.
Well, it was definitely you, because if it was Daniel, we wouldn't be there.
Bless him. Can I just send out some condolences to Dan today?
Yeah.
Because it's a very sad day for Dan and his family. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
so just if you watch this, Dan, or you watch it on catch up, we are thinking
We
of
love
you.
you.
Big hugs from
We love you.
We love
to
you, bud.
Hazel and the family. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. It's awful. Anyway, what was you saying, Lois?
No. You forgot.
No,
I forgot. See me? What was
Hey,
I saying?
Spanish flu. Is it the same as? Was it similar to COVID? I think it was
Bird
worse,
flu,
wasn't it?
Yeah. it was
Spanish
a lot worse.
flu.
bird flu, was it?
Mm-hmm. Here
Get
we
that?
go.
Hi, Rigger.
Hey, Dagger.
A COVID party for one.
Yeah, cold.
Yeah, I know. He's going through such a bad time at the moment.
Yeah, I'm so
I
sorry.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll get him
definitely.
out and we'll get him laughing again. Don't you worry.
We will do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, they
That
did.
doesn't surprise me.
And didn't they do a thing where they were coming in through Ireland? So they're doing the road freight and coming in through Ireland and trying
Yes.
to get around that way. I remember that. And I remember them having to recall so much meat products off the shelves again because of contaminated meat. It was a terrible time, but the traditions that were around though when the Middle Ages, when the plague, it hit the world. It wasn't just in England and Europe. It went worldwide, and there was many people, many hundreds of millions of people that died across the world. But what I found fascinating more than anything were how people or the different countries, how they dealt with the rising mound of bodies that there was coming in and what they were doing with it. The plague pits, no pomp and ceremony, and people today are coming across these plague pits and digging them up and having a look. And I just find it amazing. Some countries do something special with the bones. Others just rebury them, leave them be. But to me, once they're hundreds and hundreds of years old, does it matter what you do with them? Grind them into powder and just dispose of it.
Yeah.
Do you really need to keep that many and use that land for other resources?
Yeah.
Edinburgh
That
would,
way.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, Glasgow way.
Alright.
Can you imagine the plague
That way.
hitting areas like Glasgow, which was quite like London? It was quite a poor place to be.
Aye. Glasgow, because there is a lot of people that sleep out rough in Glasgow, so I don't think Glasgow would have been.
How
Anyway.
did Glasgow cope with COVID when COVID hit? How did Glasgow sort of manage it?
Glasgow was
Shite.
honestly so eerie that it was unbelievable. Glasgow Central, we'll start with Glasgow Central. Glasgow Central is one of the busiest train stations in Scotland.
Yeah.
And it was dead. It was literally dead. The towns, when I was travelling back from work, nobody in the town at all. Glasgow is
Party
party
Central.
Central. It definitely is. But during lockdown, it was terrible. It was so eerie. 8 o'clock at night when you're going through Glasgow and there's not a single soul. And when it came to the people that were obviously homeless in the streets, they put them up in a hotel for the duration of obviously lockdown. So which I've got to say, it was very strict in Edinburgh. Like I can imagine Eileen, it would have been honey. But Glasgow, I've got to give them their hats off to obviously what they did for the homeless people, by taking them off the street and putting them into somewhere safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still does, William, doesn't it?
But it was the most
naughty
serious
of me.
time in my life. See, it felt like that film 28 Days Later.
Yeah, it's like that.
There was nobody,
Really.
not even. It was weird. It was just weird.
I must admit, I was quite naughty through lockdown. And I still went out with Dan. We still met up and we still investigated.
Who didn't? Let's face it. Who
Me.
didn't?
I didn't do it.
Aye,
I was a
right.
good boy.
You talk shit.
But it does give you looking at the plague and looking back in history. I don't know about you, Eric, but I found that just doing a little bit of research, just looking, watching documentaries. I thought that was John there then with you. It just sort of got me intrigued with history again. And I watched a lot of the John Sargent stuff, talking about the plague, and we reenacted and got the makeup done for someone that was going through plague. So he didn't actually just talk about it. He physically showed you what the symptoms would look like. And actually physically seeing that on someone, it just sort of hit me really hard.
Hey, Andy.
Hello.
Andy.
Hello, Andy. I've got someone who got 10k fine for breaching their tier regs. Do you know what? If you got fined, this is something that's quite interesting. So these people that got fined, if this investigation into the government and lockdown comes out that they were all wrong, how can they expect you to pay fines when they were breaking the law themselves anyway?
Yep.
Because that law wasn't set properly, because it goes through Commons, doesn't it? It gets voted on. None of that happened. So they can't force you to pay a fine because you're not broken any law. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, William.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Ring a Ring of Roses was about the plague.
Yep.
So Ring a Ring a Rose is a pocket full of posies because of the smell. So they put the to get rid of the smell. A tissue is one of the symptoms. We all fall down within 28 days, 24 hours, you're dead. And that's what that song is about. It was about the plague. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And again, the rituals, the churches, some of the churches, I know of a church in London that still has plague pit there, and you can actually go down into the vault and see some of it. They've opened it up so you can go and visit, but I think you have to do that by special arrangement. They won't just take you down into the plague pit. You have to go down and get permission, and you get taken down and they show you.
Wow.
I didn't like the way the light was on the end of my nose then. I look Jewish then. Not that there's anything wrong with looking Jewish.
Happy Hanukkah and all that.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, Jon Snow.
Let it snow. It's the season to be jolly, isn't it?
Oh.
Eric's got snow. You still got snow, Eric?
No, actually, it melted all the way now.
Really?
Yep. Which is surprising since usually by now we have at least about 12 inches of snow on the ground. But
wow. I think the conspiracy camp, the whole thing, a lot more scabrous going into it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's talking about the village of Eam is lovely. Yeah, well, they closed the doors, didn't they, to the village and wouldn't let anybody in or out. How did that fare? There's still a lot that died.
Take the whole slow. Definitely.
Have you got your Christmas tree up?
No yet. Well, we're just putting it in the range room to be fair this year. Because I'm sick of buying trees. I'm really sick of buying trees. 3 years I had a Christmas tree. I had to buy one every year because Cora would attack it chronic. And the 1 year I said, oh, that's good. And I was giving her some recognition. Oh, that's great. You didn't touch the tree. You done really well. I'm so proud of you. And Stephen went, come and see what she's done to the back. And she destroyed the tree till literally you could see the wires. And it was like, nope, I am so done with this. I'm not buying any more trees. It's going to be one of the optic fibre ones.
Here's a word of advice for people that have black cats. Don't get a black Christmas tree. I've had a black Christmas tree for years. But the cats sit inside the tree and wait for you to walk past. And then the paw comes out and they try and bat you as you... Yeah, so that's my little tip.
Stephen's laughing because he's pointing at Ikora. That would be Ikora. Something else.
That's what John used to do. Like, he should sit, literally, he'd get in the tree and he'd love it. And he'd be sitting there waiting for someone to walk past, and all of a sudden his paw comes out.
Oh, no. Well, we've got COVID
Christmas trees. Oh, honestly, William, rabbit holes round here. But talking of trees and William, he's been putting some amazing pictures up about this oak.
I want that.
Why not sort of decorate the trees that you've got growing outside? I mean, I have a small, I don't even know what plant it is. It looks pretty. Let's put fairy lights on it. But again, like, people don't seem to want to, for some reason, they're decorating the house. I would decorate the tree outside. I used to have a beautiful 400-year-old oak that fell. But if I had that tree still standing, that would be just around the trunk where I could reach would be enough. You know? That was a beautiful tree. I was gutted when that went.
Oh.
But anyway, are we going to do it? What date is it next week?
Next week,
19th.
Next week it'll be the week of the 18th because I finish up on the 22nd.
1-9.
Shall we do another Jar of Doom for next week?
Yeah.
I think somebody in the chat William Southey. I want you to pick the subject if I can get this jar open. So
So if
somebody
it's wrong,
keep
then
an
we'll
eye on.
blame William.
Yeah, we're going to blame William. So we didn't do that. William, can you tell me in the chat? Just say stop. All right. Here they are. There's loads of them in there. Just tell me to stop. I've got my fingers going right into the bottom. Shout it.
Oh.
Shout it out. As soon as you see it, shout it out. William, tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Hi, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn.
Well done.
I'll laugh if William's away and we're
Yeah, so
still
would
waiting
I.
here half an hour later.
Can you imagine it, Nettie, getting on top of that tree with your bit of tinsel?
I don't think he's there, do you? Oh,
No, I don't think he is.
Dawn, do me a favour.
say
Just tell
stop.
me, Dawn, just tell me when to stop. She'll do it. She's a good lady. Dawn, just say stop in the chat.
Stop.
Hang on. Do it again.
Everybody wants to keep going.
Dawn, just say stop.
Stop.
Right. Dawn, pick a number. Pick a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Go on, Dawn, pick a number.
Oh,
1
there
to
is no
5.
second.
5. No. It's got to be 1 to 5.
1 to 5, Dawn.
Hey, Wayne.
4.
4.
4.
1,
Hey,
2,
Wayne.
3. This one. Right.
Yeah.
Dawn, this is all your fault, okay?
Yeah.
She's going to what have I done? You've just picked next week's subject that we're talking about.
Da-da-da.
Are you ready? Better be a good one, Dawn.
William popped up at the last minute.
Yeah,
I
so-
know. Oh, Lois is going to love this.
Oh, let's see. Fucking get in. Yes.
We're talking about our
Oh,
favourite serial killers and why.
Oh, love it.
That'd be
Love
interesting.
it. I'm definitely on next Tuesday. I'll be waiting in the chat for 6 o'clock.
Yeah, your favourite
Oh.
serial killer and why. So that's what we were talking about.
Gonna be
isn't it?
interesting.
Da-da-da.
Well, it's funny because I went to go and see this woman, this
Oh,
criminal
thanks,
psychologist, Mary Kelly. Is that her name? I don't know what her name is. Anyway, we did this test that she was giving the whole audience. There was a handful of us at the end, and I was one of the handful that chose right, which made me to be a psychopath.
That has been.
apparently.
Killer.
So apparently, I am a psychopath.
I knew that.
I could probably vouch for that.
I'd know who to pick on and why. In other words, Jamie, you're getting a kicking.
That's right. Send you up.
Jamie knows I love him. Anyway, I owe him birthday beats, as we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Laura. Lorna, sorry, I've got my glasses wrong my head. They're the wrong ones. I can't read very well.
Don't make excuses.
Oh,
I didn't go
yeah.
to school.
Oh, Eileen, I'll need to have a word for you. We need to talk about this.
Hmm.
I'm happy that's my Christmas sorted.
There you go.
Favourite serial killers. I've got a whole array of books. I used to be really heavily into my criminology when I was in my 20s. And some of the books that I've got, you can't even get them today.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I like that.
Do you know when I
Um,
see that, the name Phantom, I bet you have some stories, Phantom. Do you know who I think about? Has anybody seen that film, Don't You Mess with the Zoltan,
No.
No,
with Adam Sandler?
No.
Say it again?
no.
Don't Mess with Zoltan.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So he's a Jewish villain in it, is called Phantom.
Exactly. No.
I'm not psycho. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's
And
going,
they like to drink the orange bubbly. It's really funny. It's not orange bubbly or Fanta, orange Fanta. It's called a bubbly. Orange bubbly. Oh. If you want to laugh at Christmas, that is one film that I can recommend. Go and watch Don't Mess with the Zoltan with Adam Sandler. It can be a bit naughty in the film, but it is funny. It will make you laugh.
That's really good.
I like Adam Sandler films. Very underestimated. The
True.
monthly magazine. Wasn't it Murder Most Evil or Murder Most Foul or something?
Whatever.
That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yes, Dawn. He was a hairdresser and he used to talk about the bush. The Zodiac Killer.
It'll be an interesting one, definitely.
Yeah, that was a good movie too.
So tomorrow night, we are not going to be on tomorrow night because Eric is going to be busy looking after his sweet, lovely wife and our good friend Rita, who is going in for a little operation tomorrow. So we want to wish her lots and lots of love. Don't be scared. It'll make you into the new woman that you know you're going to be, running around, chasing after everyone with a big stick just to beat us all up. So
I'm
Rita,
I was a little bit
Nervous.
nervous.
don't be.
You'll be all right.
We are all with you on this one. And Rita, you've
Everybody's
got
wishing-
this. You've got this, girl.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
had to do
everybody.
that before we finish off because
Mm.
Eric's got you've got stuff to do and stuff to do
Yep.
for Rita and stuff to do when you get home. So Eric's going to take a well-earned break. I mean, he does a lot for us, especially for me. Eric does. So take a break, chill, be with your wife, and Rita, we love you. Don't forget that, okay?
Say okay, dear.
I said thank you in the
I know,
in
but
the,
say okay loud.
She's too busy. She's too busy writing. Bless her.
Oh,
thank you, Robert.
But we are going to be back next Tuesday talking about our favourite serial killer. So, Parker, find your favourite one. And why is
I've
he
got a
your
few.
favourite?
Yeah, so do I.
can't wait. Honestly, can't wait. It'll be fun. A good one.
I'm gonna be doing something at work before I drive home.
Oh,
I'll
Your
give you all a
audition.
clue. No, I'll be putting something just there on my hand,
yeah.
which will give you a clue as to who my favourite serial killer is.
I don't know that.
You'll have to wait till next week. You'll have to tune in to see what that's about.
Harry or Home Alone.
No, Lois knows. Lois knows what I'm going to be doing. So, yes, that'll be fun.
Cool.
Yo. See you later, guys.
I love it, William.
What are you like?
So you on this Thursday, Lois? What's happening this Thursday?
Thursday shows. It's on, but it's debatable what subject is now because I don't know if Nick's coming back or not.
Do you want to pick a subject
Friday.
from the Jar of Doom?
No, we've got two subjects in mind. See, Nick told me in video call last night if he felt alright, if it was alright, we could do Hurricane Mitch Part 3. If not, then we'll be talking about Nicholas Tesla. On Friday, I have Barry John, the medium Barry John. It will be a good show. I love that guy. Him and Ad, two top guys that I love.
Ad's
so,
he's got the fun factor. I love Ad.
Oh, he's something else. Just to remind everybody, next Friday we finish up for 2 weeks. But I'll be back on the 28th. I'm doing a show myself. Big girl now, can do these shows myself.
Your big
Eh,
girl. Got your big girl pants
but
on.
don't any of my
Yes.
staff that abuse, please. But I'm going to be talking about the 2004 tsunami. So
Boxing Day.
it will be an interesting, and it's just a wee check-in as well to see how everybody is and if
Yeah.
you've all had a good time at
Well,
Christmas.
we were supposed to be on live yesterday, Eric. Forgot all about it.
I did.
I was-
Oh,
So we'll might sort of reconvene after Christmas or something like that because you're going to be busy at home. But I
I'll
must
do
tell
a
you
New
all,
Year special, especially for you, Sarah Louise.
there is going to be a special on Monday night, guys, with the
Wow.
Dark Mirror Boys, who will be doing it's the 18th, isn't it? So they're going to be doing their yearly Christmas quiz. Aw. So the yearly Christmas quiz will happen on Monday night at 9:30 on I think you can see it on Things Network and on Simply Spooky. So that is happening on Monday at 8:00 at 9:30. I don't know
Leave
how
it
long
with
it's
me,
going to
Sarah
go.
Louise.
Oh, he's starting at 9. Ooh, get you, mate. Yeah, so try and tune in for this quiz. I think Andy Gresham is going to be the quiz master. So all the questions we don't know what he's going to ask.
Are
what the
you
sub-
going as well, Bill?
Yeah, I'll be
I'll
on.
see you there. Me and
Oh,
you could be in a
bless you,
team
William.
together.
Bless you, William. Oh, so yes, and I don't know if Dan will be with us next week. We hope so, but if he isn't, we'll give him a break and we'll see him in the new year. So
Is it because of Christmas?
this could get messy. This could go on for hours. You do realise that.
Oh,
And-
this will be a fun one.
And so next Tuesday will be your favourite serial killer, and then I think we are going to have a little bit of a break, but we will be back in between Christmas and New Year at some point, and who knows? We will try and get Tony Stackwell back, but we'll see what's happening because so it's Tony Stackwell and Rhea Colon. I listed her name then, I shouldn't say that. Rhea Colon might come back and just make an appearance just to have a bit of fun to see in the new year. So, and Spooky Nori will be live on Christmas Eve at 10 p.m.
cool.
So there's lots going on. And Tony Stackwell's awful.
Yeah, I know he is.
He is awful. I think Tony and Ad, we have to be doing a special episode of when Tony met Ad.
Yeah.
That would be
Imagine
good.
that. That would be fun.
I'm imagining that really well, actually.
And Parker is still celebrating his birthday. Week-long celebrations. Your Majesty, over there.
Sir, for you.
Not Sir, Your Majesty. Your Eminence.
My little princess.
That should be your new nickname, Princess.
Princess
I've been called
Parker.
worse, so it's not a problem.
Nah, you'll always be Spider-Man to me. I'm going to get you one for Christmas.
In fact, can you guys remember Mario Brothers, the game
Yeah,
where you
with-
rescue the princess?
Yes. Oh, and
Bloody
those people that are waiting from a delivery for Eric, they are going out in the post first class this week, so you should get them before Christmas. It just had a mad few days with work and shopping and food tasting for my son's wedding. It's all just gone crazy, but
All the excuses.
do you want to slap over there, Parker?
Do you want me to slap him for you? I'm
Yeah,
closer.
Yeah, right across that mush. Eric, you could beat him with a stick if you want. Eric could poke you with a stick just to see where it would hurt, the areas where it would hurt, just after you've been slapped.
All right.
All right? Okay.
Could have been.
He was actually.
Who?
So you gotta be saying yes, my lady.
Oh,
You know, I have it
Thunderbird.
on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I can do it on. Please stand by paranormal. Is where I've been posting them all right now. But you can just go to my Facebook page too.
They are in the UK. They are with me. The packed items will be on my table and in the post tomorrow. So
Well,
hopefully,
it's something that I have to ship over there because I don't.
Right.
I think
Right, I'm
there's-
going, guys. So I will see you later.
Love you,
See you
Parker.
Tuesday.
Miss you.
Love you too.
Bye, Princess.
Love you lots.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I just
On-
love that guy.
On that note, guys, I'm going to go for a shower because I smell.
Get rid of those body
Well,
lice and the
sure.
itchies.
That's stinky.
That's it. I'm going for the creepy.
She said that's sticky.
Stinky.
Oh, stinky.
Stinky.
I thought she said sticky.
Ew.
I was going to say, how does she know?
I'm saying nothing. Bye, guys. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you. Oh, bless her. That is so funny. Oh dear. So yeah, they're going tomorrow in a big bundle to the post office. It's
Okay.
tomorrow lunchtime. So they will be gone. So Wayne, you are going to get a parcel, I believe, in the post.
Yep. Wayne, Mark, Riga, if you're still watching,
Yeah.
Liam, and then the guys from
Dark Mirror Boys.
yeah, well that, but and the guy
Right.
one of the guys from what is it? I forget the name of the group.
Yes. Scottish Paranormal.
No, it's in England.
Yeah.
Um
So they will be with them. If I do it today, they'll get it by Friday or Saturday morning, the latest. So
okay.
it's all going. Where's my Christmas card? Do you know, William, I can send you a Christmas card. In fact, I can send you a Christmas card that you'd like, but it's not really Christmas, but it is sort of thing. But you'd like it. William, you've got me on private message me your address and I'll get one in the post to you. But yeah, so it's a busy time ahead for you, Eric, this week, the rest of this week. I'm hoping my rest of the week will slow down.
Yeah.
You never know with me. Oh, God. And I've got to get up and see Dan at some point as well. So, yeah. But whatever you do for the rest of the week, everyone in the chat, I want to thank you for tuning in and your questions and your comments. And, you know, we do, Lois, myself, Eric, Jamie, we all appreciate you and the support that you give us. So, no, I mean it, William. I can put something in the post. So it's up to you. See, we appreciate you, William. Well, I do anyway. So I can't speak for the others. I learn a lot from William, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So whatever you do, thank you, Cliff.
Yes, thank you, Cliff.
Yeah, I will definitely. Oh, Nettie. We love you, Nettie. And you, Sarah. Thanks, everyone. We will see you soon. Up to nonsense, no doubt. And I'm going to have to go and research a bit more about my favourite serial killer. But take care, everyone. Have a great night and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Tis the season to be jolly. Bye.